This is an Off the Tongue podcast.
Hey, everybody, Doug here.
And Greg here.
And no Mike, he is on assignment tonight. So
that
it's
boy's
just
got more assignments.
the two grumpy old men. It's the Grumpy Old Men podcast.
That's right.
It may be a little abbreviated, who knows, or we could start rambling and turn this into some story that's just incoherent.
Well, that's what we do as grumpy old
Yes,
men.
it is. Yes, it
Go
is.
incoherent. And
So I think tonight we're going to talk a little bit about bizarre mishaps and injuries. And we're going to talk a little bit about dating. Not you and I dating each other.
No, we broke up.
Dating in general. Well, you wouldn't buy me dinner anymore. So.
No. Or Reese's.
And then I found an article that says 9 things that boomers or Gen Xers did as teens that Gen Z, it says, wouldn't survive a day doing. But I don't. I think that's a little extreme. Don't do and probably wouldn't do. So we'll get into that.
Interesting.
So I don't know if you want to start us off then. Or
Sure.
Let's go.
Well, what brought this up to me is I was watching some highlight reels this week, and I saw it was the Marlins baseball team, and the pitcher had finished his warm-up pitches, and the catcher was throwing down to second, line drived it, and hit the pitcher right in the back of the head.
Oh,
I showed you the video
yes,
of it. The pitcher
looked
dropped down to the ground, was not happy about it. And it just got me thinking about injuries and sports injuries or really any kind of injury. And I've had some stupid ones in my day because this was kind of a stupid one. I don't know if it was on the catcher or if the pitcher should have ducked down. I think typical protocols, the pitcher ducks down and the catcher throws a line shot over his head out to second base. But I don't know. For whatever reason, he got hit in the noggin. But as I was thinking about it, it kind of reminded me when I was in, I think I was in 8th grade. No, probably not quite that old. Probably more like 6th grade. I played Park District baseball. And the way our Park District baseball worked is if you were a pitcher, you were the team captain. They would have everybody line up and they would pitch, anybody that wanted to pitch. And the coaches that ran the league would walk by and he would go, okay, you, and you, and he would select who were going to be team captains. And then from all the kids that came out for baseball, you would select your team for the season. And so I was a team captain, so I got to select my team. So I picked my team, and this one kid, the second I picked him, he started mouthing off. He was like, well, I'm not going to play right field, or I'm not going to, he just was being belligerent, but he was at the top of our bleachers. So we had them all line up on the bleachers after we picked them. And he was up there mouthing off and being just kind of a jerk. And I was going to go up and talk to him. And so I was running up the bleachers. And as I did, my foot caught underneath one of the edges of the bleachers. So I fell forward. And I went to catch my hands on a higher bleacher. Yep. Well, my hands missed and they went between the bleacher and the corner of that bleacher hit me right between the eyes. Oh, split me open, blood profusely.
Oh man.
And a few hours later, after 4 or 5 stitches. So one of the worst pains I've ever endured was hitting that noggin on the bleacher.
That sounds bad.
So they're sports related, sort of. Stupid, yes. So I don't know. Have you done any stupid?
Not sports related, really, but I was working on a car, my car, aggravated, hot summer day, nothing's going right, and
I've been going another one,
getting in and out of the back of my truck, the bed of the truck, and I had my toolbox back there, and I opened it up and grabbed tools and this and that, and I was mad, and I went and it had the flip top, so I could flip the top of the toolbox open to get in there. So I grabbed that and went to flip that up real quick. Well, when I did, this particular toolbox also was the kind where it had like a clip that you could unclip it, and the top of the toolbox would come off to make a smaller toolbox you could carry with you.
Kind of like a women's purse and a purse.
Yes, except I whipped that up. It came flying up and smacked me in the middle of the forehead. Huge red welt on my head. my wife was in the kitchen. She said she was just standing there doing dishes, and all she sees is a toolbox and tools flying through the air past the window. And then I was mad that I did that, because now I got to go find all my tools and pick them up. But I just chucked it. I threw that thing as far as I could out to the yard. So mad. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Oh, when you hurt yourself, you get so mad.
All of mine are I hurt myself all the time. So that was a bad one.
You got another one?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you made me think of one. I was trying to take an exhaust pipe off of a car. It was an old rusty exhaust pipe. And, they had those U-bolts underneath. That's how they were put together back in these old cars. And I was trying to get the nut off the U-bolt, and I had my socket underneath there, and I was cranking. It wouldn't come off. I'm getting madder by the minute. I just crank on it, and the wrench slipped off the nut, spun around, and the end of the ratchet hit me right in the forehead.
Oh.
And I had one of those Bugs Bunny knots that looked like you could push it back in. It was just this.
Except you cannot.
Lori was over at her mom's doing a garage sale, and I drove over there for some reason. I think I wanted sympathy or something. And so I went over there, and she's like, geez. She didn't push it back in, though, like Bugs Bunny did. But
she didn't get a little wooden hammer and
tap it back. Oh my man, that hurt like the dickens. But yeah, so that was another dumb one.
Yeah, the other one I have is I was working at a job, and this was back when I worked for a glass company, kind of like, it wasn't Safe Light, but that type. And I was working. It was another summer day. I'm out there, and I got electric tools and things, and I'm got all my stuff thrown out there, and I had a long extension cord because I had a generator in the van. I had to pull the extension cord out, and this particular extension cord came down, and the end of it split, and it had like 3 plugs, so it was like a big plastic Y looking thing on the end. Mm-hmm. And I'm putting everything away, and I'm kind of wrapping it up around my arm, so over my elbow and my arm, and I'm just like you would a lasso, just bringing it in fast.
I see where this is going.
I wish I would have. I get to the end, not even thinking, and it swings up and around, and that plastic thing comes and hits me right in the family jewels. Oh. It dropped me. I fell on the ground. I was in a parking lot. I just fell down. I laid there. I'm rolling around. But I finally got my bearings. I looked like, did anybody see me? It's like, no. I was like, oh my gosh. I had to go sit in the truck for like 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe. I'm like, oh my gosh. It killed me. It absolutely killed me.
That just made me think of another one from this weekend.
Oh, no.
We were at one of my grandson's baseball games, and Lori brought an umbrella from the car because it was sunny out, and she wanted to put the umbrella. And so she puts the umbrella out, and she goes, this doesn't look as tall or long as it normally. She goes, I feel like it should extend further. And I said, here, let me see that. So I pushed it together, and undoubtedly it didn't latch good, and so the end of it popped out and hit me right where it counts. And I was like, oh,
yeah, that is
not a good place to get hit. I'm thinking of that now. It's painful.
No, it is not.
But yeah, this all started yesterday too. I was out mowing, and there was a little stick in the yard, and I just didn't want to mow. Usually I'll go around and pick up sticks, and this little stick, and I just said, I'm just going to, and I went, and just when I left foot, I just kicked it like I was going to kick it out of the way. Well, it kind of stuck into the ground or something, went through the mesh part of my tennis shoe and into my second toe.
It stabbed your foot?
It stabbed I got a cut there. It's like, I was out there, ow!
That stick showed you.
It was a little stick. It was no bigger than this pen. What's that, 4 inches?
Yeah.
Little stick, right in my toe.
Yeah. So, and the last one is probably the most embarrassing as far as just stupid.
I don't know. The family jewel hit seems pretty. Well,
I wrenched my back one time. I mean, it hurt for like 3 days. I couldn't hardly stand up straight for like a day. And so when I tell people, what I was definitely like, yeah, I saved a child from being hit by a bus. So I shoved it out. When in reality what's happened was I was in the bathroom sitting on the John. and somebody didn't put the toilet paper on the roll. Probably my son. I don't know. They set it on the back of the toilet.
Oh man!
I just spun around to grab it, and it just my back went like oh. It's like, I could hardly get off of the toilet. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! What?
Did you get your walker out?
I slightly turned to the right to grab the, and I was like, oh, there you go. And now you're going to hurt for 3 solid days. Like, oh, this is great. That's great.
When was this?
A long time ago.
Oh, a long time ago. So you weren't even old yet.
Well, it was probably 10 years ago. So I was in my 40s. Old enough. But still, you're like, really?
Yeah. So kind of, the first ones we brought up of these were more sports related.
Yeah.
Have you had any sports related ones?
Not really.
The one I can think of is when we had our work softball team, and I was out in left field.
The whole softball team was a work related injury.
We could do a whole podcast on our softball team.
We were so bad.
We never won.
No,
we lost a forfeit.
Yes.
That's how bad we were.
And we played for 4 years.
We were not good.
No.
So on paper, we should not have been that bad.
It doesn't matter. Let it go.
The paper was wrong.
The paper was very wrong.
But I was out in left. So the game that we lost, the forfeit, we decided just to have a team practice because we needed it. So we're out hitting somebody's hitting the balls out to us out in the field, and I'm out in left field, and the ball kind of rolled past me, and I turned and I bent over to pick it up. And when I started to stand back up, I heard somebody yell, Greg! And so I turned to where the voice was coming from.
Not me, for the record.
No, it was
I did
not you. But I turned to where the voice was coming from, and about the same time, a softball hits me right in the back of the jaw. Just, it's like, so not only did we lose to a forfeit, I got injured fielding practice.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that pitcher.
Like I would have yelled heads up or
no, they yelled my name.
Yeah, I would not have done that.
So fortunately it wasn't
or Greg watch out or something. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, whoever it was yelled for me to look, and it's like the ball's come inbound.
You did look.
I did look, and I took one in the jaw.
You did take
Felt
one
great.
in the jaw.
So on the heels of that, I looked up some, I don't know, interesting, funny sports injuries. These are, I think, well, it seems like just all sports, baseball, basketball, hockey, different ones. So I'm just going to read a few of them and we can make fun of pro athletes getting injured in weird ways.
Okay.
So the Joel Zumaya, who played, I don't think he's with them anymore, the Detroit Tigers, got a right wrist inflammation. So how do you think you got a right wrist inflammation?
Too much time in the batting cage?
Nope.
Okay.
So something at home.
Do I want to know what
I knew that's where your mind would go.
Well, it didn't at first until you kept saying that. I was like, well, I don't know. What?
Nope. It was from playing too much Guitar Hero. So wore his wrist out playing Guitar Hero.
Yikes.
Let's see here. We got a number of football players that got injuries doing end zone celebrations, like torn ACLs and things like that. And my page just went away. Get 1 second here. Doggone it.
Well, I've got one if you want.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I scrolled through here too. I found a hockey player for the Los Angeles Kings, Dustin Penner.
Uh-huh.
Back strain. How do you think he strained his back?
High-fiving a person in the crowd.
Nope. And this one's for Mike. Eating pancakes. Dustin Penner has set out to prove that eating, and more specifically breakfast, can indeed be an extreme sport. So great was his love of pancakes that he managed to wreck his back and miss several games as he devoured his morning treat. A level of dedication to flapjacks previously unseen out of a professional athlete. I don't even know how you do that by eating.
I do not know how you would do that.
But that's what he says happened.
Maybe that's where Mike is tonight. Maybe he injured himself on some pancakes.
He wrecked his back on his pancakes.
It could happen. So another one is the famed Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Got a finger laceration.
He did.
he cut his finger with a cigar cutter. Wonder if it messed up his dribbling.
I don't know. Did he miss games because of that, though? Or did he? Seems like I remember him playing with a bandaged finger. He might have missed a few games. I don't know.
After missing a game, he immediately went back and started scoring 30-plus a night.
I seem to remember him playing with his finger
Like
all
wrap,
bandaged
yeah.
up. And he just still.
Cigar.
He's probably the greatest athlete I've ever watched play. As far as
He
the
was
sport.
something. He was something.
We were lucky to watch it because it was amazing.
Yep.
So.
That whole team.
Yes.
See, I thought maybe he lacerated on like Dennis Rodman's earring or something. Or some spike that Rodman had on him.
Yeah.
And we got from the Atlanta Braves, we got Tom Glavine from 1992, broke his ribs. How did he do that, you ask? Throwing up airplane food.
Oh, that is never good if you are breaking ribs by throwing up. That's a bad night. That is bad.
That is bad. And this sounds like one that would happen to me. Brent Maine from the Kansas City Royals got back spasms. How? Checking for traffic before crossing the street. It's kind of like reaching for the toilet paper. A little twist and
yeah.
Let's see who else we got here. We'll do a couple.
I got 3 of them that I've
go
written
ahead.
down too. So
did you do Brandon Ing?
I don't know what number.
Number 46.
Nope.
Okay, go ahead with yours.
Well, I got Wade Boggs, Boston Red Sox.
Yep, I remember Wade Boggs.
He bruised his ribs. How do you think he bruised his ribs?
I always like to think it's baseball related, but
he would have been better off to say he was throwing up airplane food.
Oh, really? Pooping?
No. Oh. I think that would have been better.
Wow.
Pulling on cowboy boots. Nobody ever said being a cowboy was easy. Just ask Wade Boggs. In the heat of a pennant race in 1986, the Red Sox third baseman managed to injure himself putting on shoes. Maybe he should stick to crushing beer cans on cross-country flights instead.
Huh. You hate to tell that to your teammates and stuff.
Sometimes I wonder, was it that, or did you get drunk and fall down the stairs and then you said you did it pulling your shoes on? So I got a couple. I got 2 more.
Go ahead. And I'll do a couple more from this.
Chris Hansen, punter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Deep gash in his leg. How do you think he did that?
He's a punter, got a gash in his leg.
I remember when this happened.
Skateboarding.
No. Swinging an axe.
Ooh,
in the locker room.
I can relate to that.
In the
not
locker room.
Not in the locker room, but missing something when you're trying to swing.
Chris Hansen was a punter. Motivational speeches and phrases really weren't intended for him. So while we appreciate him trying to get into Coach Jack Del Rio's mantra of keep chopping wood, taking an axe is only, they had a big chunk of wood in their locker room or big piece of tree with an axe in it. And he would always say, this is how we get through. So you just got to keep chopping wood, keep chopping. Well, he went in and he picked it up and hit it. It deflected off of that and the axe went into his leg, put a big gash in
Ouch.
it. So go ahead, Dyke.
You want me to do one?
Yeah. I've only got one more.
Brandon Ing, or Inge, I-N-G-E, 2008 Detroit Tigers, suffered a strained oblique. Where's the oblique?
Is that in your back? Like on the sides?
Could be.
I don't know. This is... Yeah.
We're just terrible.
People are screaming.
I'm not a biology...
What? You're an idiot.
I'm not a biology person. So, well, anyways, he strained his oblique. How do you think he strained his oblique?
I have no idea.
Fluffing his daughter's pillow. Would you even tell people that's what happened?
No.
I mean, what happened to you, dude? Well, put my daughter to bed last night. I was fluffing her pillow. It hurt. Let's see. You got another one?
I got another one.
Go ahead.
Adam Eaton, San Diego Padres pitcher. Stab wound in the stomach. Now, this is going to tie in maybe to what we're going to talk about a little later. How do you think he got the stab wound to that? I've been close to this before. I think this is something that could have happened to me and possibly you.
Well, I used to work at a meat packing place, and a guy got a stab wound in he was lower than his stomach.
Yikes.
And had to be rushed to the emergency room because he bled a lot.
Ooh,
but he was
that's not
boning
good.
a ham, and the knife slid off and
that
right
makes me
in
hurt.
the groin area.
Well, he stabbed himself in the stomach by taking the plastic off a new DVD. So
I've done things like
I
that.
said this is something that you and I probably both could have done. We totally empathize with Adam Eaton when you buy a fresh DVD or video game or Blu-ray. All you want to do is watch it. Grappling with the plastic wrapping is so annoying. Taking a knife to it so vigorously that you stab yourself isn't all that shocking to us.
All right, we got an oldie here. Clarence Blethen from the 1923 Boston Red Sox.
Holy cow. Okay.
He got a leg laceration. So it was in a game. How do you think he got the leg laceration?
Somebody threw a beer bottle at him.
No.
I don't know.
He wanted to intimidate the pitcher, so he took out his false teeth and stashed them in his back pocket. It worked as he singled during the at-bat. Upon reaching first, though, he forgot to put them back in. This decision soon came back to bite him in the, where, literally, as he took out a chunk of his own skin sliding into second base. So he was bitten by his own teeth.
Yikes.
Did you have any more?
I mean, I got it. I got another one.
Let me see if I've got one more here.
Steve Parks, pitcher for the Brewers, dislocated his shoulder. How do you think he did that?
Dislocated shoulder.
Yeah.
Baseball related?
I don't think so.
Slapping his wife.
Wow. We just got dark. No, he tried to rip a phone book in half.
Oh, geez.
Says, dude, you're a pitcher, not a bodybuilder. Steve Sparks was just trying to make the Brewers roster out of the spring training when he attempted to be that guy and rip a phone book.
Oh, man.
Phone book in half.
Wonder how many. Remember that used to be a thing.
Yep.
People ripping
I've
phone
seen
books
guys
in
do
half.
that. Or blow up a hot water bottle, like blow it up till it explodes.
Yeah.
And bend bars over their head. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. They had like the world's toughest man competitions or something.
Oh,
and Lou
yeah.
Ferrigno and all them being
Yep.
it. And yeah.
Tear
That was the
phone
last
book.
one I had.
All right, I'll do just one more. Kevin Mitchell from the 1990 San Francisco Giants had a broken tooth and a root canal. How do you think that happened? I just he chipped his tooth on a microwaved frozen donut.
Wouldn't you feel that it was hot or cold still? I mean, if you took it out, or you just grab it like, I gotta have this donut. I gotta have it right now. Right now.
Yeah, you guess. It says he did himself no favors by reporting late to Giants spring training after contracting an infection in his tooth after eating a donut.
Holy cow.
So,
I got one more.
okay.
Glenn Allen Hill. I
remember that name.
I think he played for the Cubs for a little bit. But this was in 1990 when he was with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
He suffered several severe cuts. How do you think he did that?
Several severe cuts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
A vivid spider-related nightmare. Spiders can be scary when they invade your dreams. It's even worse. Poor Glenn Allen Hill. The terror got a little too real when he suffered a mid-sleep freakout due to a spider-related dream, jumped up, and fell over his glass coffee table and into it and cut himself all up.
Oh, man.
So that was the last one I had.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'm just looking here real quick if there's any others that are. Yep, I think I got down just to the ones you must have been coming from the bottom up.
Yeah, well, I knew you were at the top, so I started at about like 20 and just kind of scrolled down.
So yeah, some interesting sports related injuries.
And if any of you have ever injured yourself in an interesting or embarrassing way, feel free to comment or DM us. And
we'd like to hear those. We'd like to hear those.
It can't be worse than me sitting on the toilet. That's a bad one.
That is a bad one.
But I'm sure there's plenty out there. This is a little bit of an older story. It's been out for a week and a half or so, but
ancient news.
yeah, in today's technology, yeah, if it didn't happen right now, it's ancient.
Yeah.
Tinder, which is a dating app, I guess. I've heard of it. I didn't know much about it, but
You've not. I thought you frequented that.
no. They kind of created a little bit of a stir because they added a new preference setting where you can put in a height preference setting. Now, this is only for like paying, because I guess there's like a free option, which I guess you get the uggos. No, I'm just kidding.
On the free one, you can't.
You can't see the good looking people. No, the free one doesn't have this option. But if you pay, then you can put this filter in there for a height preference. Because I guess they had a lot of women that did not want to date shorter men. Now, I'm not real tall. I'm 5'7", 5'7.5". I used to be 5'8", but last time I went to the doctor, they said, no, you're 5'7.5". The weight of the world has finally squished me down a half an inch.
I think I'm down about 3/4 of an inch from what my max was.
So it says in recent days, users started noticing a height filter in the app. So people were upset, and some people were for it and some weren't. But it said that Hinge, which I guess is another dating app, already had this height filter.
This is already speaking to our age.
know,
Hinge, Tinder, we don't know what those are.
I guess both Tinder and Hinge are owned by the same group, so they were already had it in this one dating app, and they pushed it over. But like I said, it's only in the paid preferences, and you can sort through people or put it into the algorithm so that people under a certain height won't show up into your profiles.
Can you limit the upper level of height too? You don't want somebody too tall?
Well, I don't know if it's a minimum maximum sort of thing or if you just put a floor.
To be fair, you would think so.
I would think so. I would definitely think so. Now they're saying this is part of a broader effort to help people connect more intentionally on Tinder. But
not unintentionally. You don't want to connect unintentionally.
I think height really is more important for women. I think more women probably would you say that? More women probably they don't want to date a guy that's shorter. Not all. Some women would, but I think a lot of women would want to.
I would say probably.
Where I think most guys are like, if a woman wants to go out with me, I don't think. If you're taller.
Is it a woman? Yeah.
I'm in. She's real tall. Okay, fine.
She's real short. Still fine.
Yes. And she's medium, fine. It's not. There are probably some men that don't want a real tall woman or don't want a real short woman. It depends. I got a friend of mine who is 6'9". He's super tall.
That's tall.
And yeah, so I mean, he would, he dated a girl that was like 5'2". It's like
that's always a weird.
When you're 6'9", it's a little hard because everybody is shorter than you.
I know. You think he'd go, 5'9" and up, not 4 foot.
Well, unlike you, Greg, he went with his heart. He didn't just.
What did I go with?
All looks. It's all superficial with you. You try to get as superficial as possible. No.
Yeah, I'm sure Lori's going to agree with you.
But I'm just curious what you thought about this. Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea? I mean, on one aspect, they're giving customers things they want, I guess.
I mean, subjectively, if you were out meeting a person in the world, not on an app, would you judge that height? I mean, would you
possibly? You
or
might
back
not
to the
go
women.
up,
would they judge?
They may not go up and talk to somebody if they were real short or real tall.
So the app doing it, having that option, is it? I don't know. I mean,
how would they feel though if they put a thing on there about like weight? Would that be would they be called out for body shaming?
Well, I'm surprised they don't.
Maybe they do. I don't use Tinder.
I mean, do you think they do bald?
Well, that they can see bald. This is what I think.
True.
The complaint. What women were saying was they would have these guys. It was hard to tell how tall they were, and they would lie in their profile. So they would say, again, you can only really lie a couple inches. I mean, you can't really lie like a foot It's going to be obvious. You can't say I'm 6'1". It's like I'm 5'7". Guess what? That's not going to work. I'm not.
I never understood what the lying on those did anyways.
I don't either.
'Cause eventually you've got to meet the person. Unless you're going to just get married online.
I guess if you lie and meet them, maybe you're hoping that I can talk them into loving me. I don't know.
But if you're a goomer, they're going to see that.
For loving you, baby.
When you meet them, they're going to know what you're about.
Yeah.
I mean,
your profile picture of you and your REO Speedwagon t-shirt sitting on the hood of your Trans Am.
That's right. I don't know. And maybe maybe there's some merit to that if you're, let's say you're, I don't know, what's a short guy? 5'4"?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 5'4", let's say, and the girl's 5'9", I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't.
Yeah, I think you're again. It's pretty superficial, and you might be cutting out somebody who might be the love of your life. I mean, just on the fact that they're not 5'10", they're only 5'8", or they're only 5'3", and maybe they're a fantastic person and loving and.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think you're right. I think you're better off to just lay all the facts out there and,
What if they put in there? I can, discriminate by like your dimensions. You have to put your dimensions in there, and
dimensions.
Well, what do they call that? 36, 24, 38, or whatever that is.
Who, for the women?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
I was trying to figure out where you were going. Dimensions.
I don't look for men's dimensions. I don't look for women's dimensions anymore either. By the way, honey, this is back, before I got married.
This is other people.
Yes.
We're just analyzing.
This is person B or
yes.
A.
Yeah.
So, yes. But no, would you, again, I know that people, you have to be attracted to someone at the beginning. Well, ideally throughout the whole relationship, but
yeah.
Especially at the beginning. But I feel like you can work your way in to where someone will be maybe not as attracted to you right at first, but as you get to know them and get a relationship, then you can have a more attractive to them.
Yeah, I think Lori's still trying to figure that out with me.
I'm on the other side of that. See, I was friends with my wife for 8 years before we started dating. I wore her down, and she finally gave in.
You wore her down. See, Lori and I met and pretty much started dating.
My wife and I met and became friends. And then I asked her out a couple times, and she said no. And then finally she said yes.
She said you were too short.
I was too immature.
I was immature.
Probably not incorrect.
I was immature.
So
Still immature, but
I don't know if I matured or if she just immatured as she got older. I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, I don't know what that was like. I mean, Lori's parents let me date her because they said I was immature. Because I was
They let you date her?
Well, I was a little older. Well, because at first it was a no-go because I was older. I mean, I was 4 years older than her when we started dating. And they said, well, we want to meet him. So I went over, and Lori was not, well, she was there. But anyways, after I met them and we talked and I left, they told Lori, because they were under the concept, that I'm older. They didn't like that. She was going out with this older guy. Well, then after I met him, they go, that's okay. He's immature.
I don't know how I would feel about that.
Well, I'm.
Oh, he's zero threat at all. Or were you dressed like Jughead or what? Go over there. Hey,
I don't know if it's
Mr.
how I answered questions or what the deal was.
Were you, using a yo-yo and chewing bubble gum?
Yeah.
Did you ride up on your bike?
Skateboard.
Hey, fellow kids.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I blanked. I can't remember what the questions were.
I would almost rather go meet my girlfriend's parents and have them say, no, he's a bad guy. You can't.
It probably would have been better for my.
Then, oh, he's immature. He has zero threat at all.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a threat, but it's like, he doesn't have any. He has no game. He's got no game.
She might have told me that later. I don't remember now.
They said you're nice. Did they? Okay, well, actually, they said you're super immature. But that's what? Wow. All right. But I know personally people who have met on the dating, and it's worked. I mean, they got married fine.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
I still feel like I think it's better. And maybe it's because, well, I say better. It's the way that we did it, where you meet somebody. Even the setup date is, I know people are like, oh, I got set up. Like, but still, if you have people that you trust, that know you and know the other person, like, I think these two people would make a connection. I would rather do that than still just swipe left or right. I don't know which way it is that you.
Up or down.
I don't know if you swipe to the right and get that you like the person or the left. I don't know how that works.
I really don't know.
I would rather do that than swipe. That's just me, and probably because that's the the
that's
way we
how it
grew up.
was for us. I mean, I can only pick Lori up when I'm out cruising around in my car.
It's a little hard to do that on the app.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just the way that we did it. You go. Well, people would go to a bar, or you go to a festival, or you hang out somewhere in school or work or something. You meet that church. That's where I met my wife. But you go and, you meet people. And again, you can kind of form a relationship with them without even, we're not dating. We're not anything. We're just being friends and see where, maybe we'll date. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But I think that is one of the differences kind of between boomers and Gen Xers and millennials and Gen Z. I think
we had no option.
Well, no. Well, and I think
we
that
had no swiping right or
they're
left.
used to the tech that way, where we're a little more. I mean, it was a joke, the computer dating. I remember Love Boat, like in 1983 or something, had an episode where they had the computer guy came in there and they had punch cards and they fed them through.
I remember that.
And people got a date that way. So it was kind of a joke, like, oh, hey, the computer fixed you up.
Yep. That was the scenario for a lot of sitcoms.
Yeah. Green Acres back in like 1969.
Yeah.
The episode with the punch card. Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm going to move on.
No, go ahead and move on.
So that is one of the things that took me into this. And this article had like 9 things that boomers, and I'm just going to say boomers, but it's also Gen X, did as teens that Gen Z would not do. And see how many of these you did, or how many of you. So handwritten letters. I wrote letters to people. Did you have a pen pal? We had a pen pal in school. Like a 3rd grade or 4th grade, we had to do a pen pal thing where we wrote. I wasn't a very good pen pal. I think I only wrote like 2 because I had to.
And they're writing you stacks of letters.
But when I was in,
I wrote Lori notes when we were dating.
Yeah,
she wrote me a lot. I still have all of hers.
My wife and I still have my wife's notes that we have. And when I was in the service, in basic training or in tech school, I would get letters, different people, and I would write letters.
Postcards, you'd get,
that's what we had. I didn't have another option. So, this is using maps, no GPS, or just knowing where things are at. You just knew when you drove, you had to pay attention. You could listen to the radio, but you also had to pay attention to, like, what street am I on? Where am I going?
Yeah, you had a sense for that, I think. I've kind of lost it with GPS.
I mean, but you kind of had to pay attention to where you were going. It's like, I need to know how to get back here or how to get out of here or whatever. Or sometimes you wouldn't. You're like, I wonder where this road goes. You just turn. You take it like, I'm on an adventure.
I still do that.
I do too.
I still like to just take a route that I don't go to normally, even locally. It's like, what? I don't remember this road. Go down it. But yeah, we used Lori was my navigator a lot of times. I'd have the map out and she'd be looking at where we were headed. And so yeah, GPS changed a lot of that.
Yeah, my wife and I, we drive and she would be the navigator. I'll tell you, the first trip we took, we went up to Chicago. Went, I think, to Six Flags.
We did the same thing.
Something.
Wasn't our first.
And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, you can be the navigator. She's like, okay. And so I gave her the map. And we're driving. We ran into construction. And they had taken the overhead signs down. And I'm like, oh, crap. I said, all right, I don't know. I need to get off of this road and let's find another one. I said, look on the map and let me know where we're at. I said, well, I think we just hit mile marker, blah, 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 whatever we were. And so she's got the map open, and I'm driving, and I see an exit, and I don't know what it is, and she's not saying this. I'm on my bike. I said, was that our exit? Or, and she's sitting there looking.
I think it was.
And she's like, I said, well, do you know where we're at? Trying, and she's looking, and finally she just said, I don't know how to read a map. I said, you said you were a navigator. She goes, I don't know how to read
You're
a map.
failing the job.
I'm like, okay. So we just drove. I finally got off an exit. I had to get the map, trying to find where I'm at. Like, she's like, I told her she'd be the navigator. Yeah, sounds good.
You're fired.
Yeah. And then everything was fine until we needed a navigator, and then it was the deer in the headlights. Like, uh-oh. She's like, I think I did something stupid.
I believe Lori always did a good job navigating of the map back then.
So the next thing they have, this says manual household chores. We had a chore list when I was a kid growing up.
We had Saturday morning chores. You'd vacuum,
Yep.
you would dust, you would, dinner time, you would, what my mom would call take up the ice. That was with
never heard that until
the metal ice tray
Yeah.
that would freeze your hand
you
off.
pull the little handle.
Yeah, run a little water over it.
I always hated how that kind of sounded.
I know.
I didn't like that.
I never liked it either,
No.
but we would have to take up the ice.
I don't know how old.
That's a Southern thing, I think.
I don't know how old the person is that wrote this, because it said manual household chores. It said doing laundry meant hand washing clothes, wringing them out, and hanging them out.
Didn't do that.
Well, no, we had washing machines and stuff. This isn't 1927. I mean, we had appliances, electricity. We had indoor plumbing. We had an indoor bathroom.
Did have that.
It also said vacuum cleaners were a luxury. It's like, we had vacuum cleaners.
I never felt very luxurious using it.
No. I mean, I did have to mop the floor. We had wood floors too, so you had to wood dry mop those, and
Felt like dust mop.
yeah. The next thing, limited entertainment.
What's that mean? Limited?
So it says during our teenage years, entertainment was limited. TV only had a few channels. So basically, you didn't have a lot of choices. Basically,
Oh no! I mean, we had to
No
entertain ourselves.
streaming.
We had to make up stuff to play.
Yeah. And I've, like, my son has said stuff about, you didn't know about this band or that band or this song when you were, it's from the 80s. I'm like, or from the, 70s. Like, if it wasn't played on the radio, I probably didn't hear it, unless somebody I knew would have an album and give it. Other than that, I wouldn't know. You didn't know where to find new artist or an album. And if I went to the record store, which was rare, but if we ever did, I didn't just randomly pick out. They were expensive. I had limited incomes. Like, I don't want to blow a lot of money on this album that I may hate. I don't know what this is.
Yeah. It's so funny. Well, Lori and I were talking about this the other night. Is the oldies now that people list, classic rock is pretty big. Even so, Lori is responsible to set up these concerts at the library where she works. And the band that played last week was a local band that plays a lot of, the 70s,
Yeah.
Creedence Clearwater, Crosby, Stills, Nash, some of that kind of stuff. And I was thinking about that. That stuff's like 50 years old. So I was thinking about if I was the same age as like some of these kids are now, in say 1980, for me listening to the oldies would have been the 30s.
Yeah.
We didn't listen to any of that music. We listened to the 50s. That was our oldies. So it was only,
Although now I will listen to stuff from the 30s, big band and stuff like that.
Well, I like it. Yeah, I like big band and
But
things
there
like
again,
that.
when we were in the 80s, I don't know where I would have found.
You'd have to get the album.
And I wouldn't know an album. There wasn't a radio station that played big band
No,
music.
there
So you're
wasn't.
like, I don't know what this is.
Tonight's big band hits.
Unless you was like flipping through and an old movie came on and they had
Yeah.
Dorsey's whatever. I don't know. But
Yeah.
different
Glenn Miller Orchestra
Glenn Miller
or-
Orchestra, different band
Yeah, Tommy
leaders
Dorsey.
on there. Tommy Dorsey.
Gene Krupa.
Yeah. So if they were on there, you'd be like, oh, listen to that. And it's like, that's fine. But
But it wasn't what we really listened to.
No.
We listened
50s. I did listen to 50s.
I listened to some 50s, but mostly I would still listen to 60s, 70s, and the current music of that day, 80s.
Yeah. I did listen to a lot of older stuff because on Saturday nights they had Mike Harvey and Solid Gold Saturday Night out of somewhere in Florida. and they would play all oldies, and I would just put it on the radio and listen to that. So,
Yeah.
but I listened to current classic rock. But it was current rock. It wasn't classic. It was new.
It wasn't classic.
But and another thing they have is just hanging out with friends. We didn't really do anything. We did that a lot.
We did that all the time.
We just go hang out. My mom was like, "What do you do?"
Go to
"I'm
a
hang out at
football
Bill's."
or basketball game at the high school and hang out. Or
Well, we lived out in the country, so I go down to my friend's Bill's house, or he'd come down to ours, and we'd start a fire outside and just sit out there.
We're burning a house down. We were arsonists.
We were rioting, busting the windows out of the barn.
We're busting up Washington.
So, but no, we would like start a little fire out there, sit out there with a couple lawn chairs. We'd get 87D batteries and put in one of our boom boxes and sit out there, listen to music, and just sit about
for about an hour, and then the tape.
Well, then you switch to the radio. Like, I guess we're going to the radio.
Yeah, because the radio would go a long time.
Yeah, the tape would not. Number 5, payphones and home phones. Yeah, that was the only way you could talk. If you had to get, you could find payphones everywhere.
Yeah.
You just have to check in. So if you had to check in the bowling alley or whatever, you'd call home.
That reminds me of we were at the bowling alley one time, and I was supposed to be home at a certain time, and I'd already gone out to the car, and my dad called the bowling alley and asked for me, and my friend Jim answered for me to my dad. And Jim and I sounded pretty similar on the phone, I guess. And so my dad talked to him for a little bit. Jim didn't tell me this. And I got home and my dad goes, "I told you to," and I said, you didn't tell me that. "I told you on the phone." I said, "I didn't talk to you." "Who was I talking?" I got in trouble then.
Well, I didn't. Why am I getting in trouble?
Oh, I was in trouble. But yeah, the payphone, Lori and I would I'd take the phone around the corner into the bathroom, shut the door, sit there and talk for a couple hours. We would sit there and talk until one of my brothers would get on the other phone and go, "Get off the phone."
Yeah. Or my mom or dad, he's like, "This isn't your private line. You're tying it up.
Get off."
And nobody knows the aggravation of calling somebody and getting You're like, "Oh, who are they talking to?"
Yeah.
I'll call back later. Go back. You're like, "Oh, come on.
Get off the phone.
Busy signal again." Yeah. Yeah. We just had the one line too. One line. I think we had one phone. Might have had two. Mom and Dad might have had one in their bedroom.
We had one in the kitchen. We had one in the kitchen and one in the basement. And so,
the one in the kitchen.
My brothers were in the basement.
The phone that was like the phone cord that was like 14 feet long that would curl up into a huge knotted ball, and you have to undo it.
But that's the one I would take into the bathroom and sit on the floor.
I would take it around the corner into the stairwell to go upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah, get on
then
the phone.
Somebody would just walk by and
watching TV,
push down the plunger and hang up on you. You jerk!
It is different because, now, kids they'll text, if they're watching TV, they might be texting each other or whatever. Whereas ours was sit on the floor on the phone for an hour, 2 hours in the bathroom, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" "Watching TV." "What are you watching?" And then you just sit there and talk for hours on
basically just say what you were doing at that exact moment.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Well, now I'm doing this. All right. Physical photos or albums. We had albums. We have a box.
Yeah.
I still have a box.
I still have tons of photos.
We've bought albums before to try to never did it. We just got a box of old photos.
Yeah.
And now they're just on the phone. I fill my phone up, I throw it away, get a new one.
And then you can never find those pictures again.
I know.
It's
but you had to go. But it was a production and taking pictures. I mean, it was a purposeful event. I mean, you had to plan on, I'm going to take a picture. So you had to get the picture.
Yeah, you didn't take pictures of food.
No, we had to get a camera, make sure it had film, make sure you had a flash cube.
Yep.
Make sure you had batteries in the camera.
Yep.
And then get everybody together. And then just we only got a 12 exposure film.
Yeah.
Or I got 24.
Yeah.
Or 36. Sometimes you get the 36
The 36, yeah. That's a bold
That was
pictures.
Christmas. That was a Christmas one. 36.
Then you had to take them in and get them developed at the store.
Yep. And wait for them to come back to you.
Yeah.
And then you open it up and half of them wouldn't be developed.
Is that my thumb?
It was always a big like surprise, like, well, which ones did we get?
Yeah. Why is this one blank?
All right. Number 7 says the art of patience, just having patience. So growing up as a boomer, one thing we learned was the art of patience, whether it was waiting on a letter or your favorite song to play on our radio. Now, this we've talked about before, like, songs on the radio, TV shows, different things like that. Christmas time, that was the only time to watch your specials.
See, TV shows were worse because you would only get one shot at it for probably years.
Now, maybe, excuse me, maybe in the summer, sometimes in the summertime, they would replay some of the shows.
Right.
So you might have a shot, but you didn't know.
In a Christmas show, you'd see it next year.
Yeah, but a year.
But a year would pass.
If you missed it, it's like, well.
Whereas at least the radio is kind of like it is now. They would replay songs. So you knew, if you heard a 38 Special song, it's going to be back on again in another hour.
Yeah. Maybe. Unless sometimes they would play an older one or whatever. You'd have the tape there, the pause and record button pushed down with the pause.
Oh, yeah, ready to go.
Record pushed down with the pause. You're like, all right, that's this one. What's this one? What is it?
Yeah.
Sometimes I just hit the pause, let it record, and then nope, rewind. Gonna tape over that.
And the DJ would talk over the intro.
Yes,
Stop talking! I'm trying to record.
Yep. But yeah, and you'd have to if you were watching a TV series, and let's say you missed an episode or the finale.
Yeah, you're done.
I guess I'll never know. I'll never know what happened on that show.
Yeah.
Last year's was a cliffhanger. Now I don't know what happened. I guess they died. All right. No online shopping. Obviously, there was no place to do it. No online marketplaces.
No, you went to the store.
Now, you could order stuff out of a catalog.
We didn't tend to do that very much, though.
Either. You could order things out of the back of a comic book. But there again, if you did, it would take 6 to 8 weeks for delivery. So that's 2 months.
Yeah.
You order 2 months later, I might get my X-ray glasses.
Yeah. Or my sea monkeys.
I was going to say, my sea monkeys. Or my Jack LaLanne exercise book. Teach me how not to be a 98-pound weakling.
I remember ordering, I was so stupid, ordering a pamphlet of government seized cars so that I could buy these government seized cars and, flip them.
How'd that go?
As you see,
we're in your mansion of the Greg Daniel Empire here.
It did not.
That paid off very well.
It did not go.
All right. And number 9, face-to-face socializing. To me, this may be the biggest downfall or the biggest thing I think that millennials and Gen Zs will miss. Now, some of them do, but I think.
Well, I know I even miss it compared to what I used to do.
The face-to-face, getting together and actually talking, seeing people, not just texting, not online, not zooming in, but just physically getting together and fellowshipping, sitting down, breaking bread with somebody and just whatever, just having a meal together or eating, go out and we're going to have this event, go do that. Now some millennials and Gen Zs do some of these things. I'm not saying that all of them do, but the trend is to not.
Yeah.
And the trend is to just stay home. Why do I need to leave? I got all my streaming apps. I can, Uber eat my food here. I don't even have to get up to go to the restaurant. I can.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good. I think it was much better when we went out and planned and did things.
Yeah.
Socially.
I have yet to Uber eat or DoorDash.
I'm not, because it triples the cost of the stupid crappy food that I'm eating.
I think the only thing we've done related to that is when we were on vacation, I do believe we used the grocery stores online ordering and got the food, the groceries delivered.
Even then, I'll go to the grocery store.
I will most of the time.
For me.
We were on vacation. I didn't know exactly where everything was, so I'm like, all right.
Usually we do that our first day when we get down there.
Yeah.
We'll get to the condo or VRBO, the rental, whatever we're staying.
Yeah, that's normally what we do.
We'll drop everything off, and I usually on the way, I'm like, look for some grocery store. We'll find it. And then I'll go back. We'll get some groceries, go back, fill up the fridge and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the next day, kind of kick off the vacation.
The one I'm thinking of was a few years ago when all my kids and grandkids went with us. And so everybody was
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying for me,
so it's Publix, I think, and we just utilized their online.
We went to Publix. You go to Publix all the time if you're down south. So.
Yep. Florida.
But anyway, socializing, like I said, I think that's the biggest, for me, the biggest one that
it's
people
important.
will miss. A lot of the other ones are just kind of fun, but that one I think is because you can become a hermit. You really can. The more you stay in, the more you don't want to go out.
Yeah.
And I think it could cause depression and everything else in people.
I think we still miss some opportunities to get together with people that we maybe used to would have.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but we do go out. I mean, we hang out with our kids and grandkids a lot. And
yep. Well, do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I don't either. So, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in to the show. We are the It's Funny It Makes It Okay podcast. We are part of the Off the Tongue Podcast Network. You're going to find shows like Pint Pals, Greener Grass, Skate Ohio, several other ones. Check them out. Check us out. Give them a listen. DM them. Give some comments to them. Give some to us.
Leave a rating.
Leave a rating. Exactly. 5-star. 5-star, baby.
You like to do all this stuff online? Do it.
That's right. You like to click things? Click that subscribe button. Click that share button. And then we appreciate everyone tuning in and listening to the show. We hope you're tuning in 7 days. Until then, see ya.
Later.
And nothing from Mikey.
No Mike. No peace.
No peace.